All right. So, okay, recording is going. I'm going to get going with my presentation here, if that's cool. It's a little on the short end. So, hi, everybody. Tom Fingal here, my report on the 21st of September. It's a little on the short side, but the slides are a little bit. So, last week, Earle had talked about the Cura upgrade. So that's the. Did you get a chance to watch the?
I have not. I was planning on going back to watch it.
Okay. Earle presented on some upgrades to the printer software that we've been using. So the printer that we use is a Lulzbot TAS 6. It's kind of a big format. Actually, the ones in the library, there's a couple of them that are the exact same one. So the software for that, we've been using kind of an older version, and Earle had talked about the newer version, which had some nice features, one of which was that it is a little bit better at preventing. By the way, Earle, can you see the screen?
No, and I can't see you either. You guys are spread kind of far.
Yeah, I don't think I hit the share screen button anyway. Hold on. It'd just be an empty room. Here we go. All right, how about that?
There we go.
Okay. All right. So, so one of the things that the 3D prints do when you're printing stuff is it works by depositing this plastic, right? And the first layer tends to kind of flare outward. So they call that elephant's foot because it kind of, instead of being straight up and down, it kind of comes out at the bottom. So, so that's a little bit problematic for things like especially for like things that go into an assembly, because the parts, you know, if it's supposed to be a 2 millimeter hole, now instead of 2 millimeters, maybe it's 1.5 millimeters, and you can't get the screw through. In Earle's case, he was working on making 3D printed watersheds and snapping them together like puzzle pieces. But if they're all a little bit bigger, then they don't quite go in. So anyway, I had a chance to download that, Earle. Thanks for sharing that. I downloaded the new version of Cura, and then I remembered why I didn't switch to the new version of Cura, which is that it doesn't load DAE files. So DAE is the digital asset. Yeah, at least not that I saw. If you figure it out, let me know.
Okay, I'll work on that later.
It does load X3D files, which is super cool because X3D, so DAE are digital asset exchange files. They're also known as Collada files. So years ago, companies started realizing that they didn't really want proprietary 3D formats weren't a great idea because it meant that things couldn't be exchanged. In a company's narrow interest, it means that it's difficult to develop things like multi-platform games. So if you're trying to get things from one thing to another, that's a problem. But it was also a problem sort of sharing 3D data in between different pieces. So they developed Sony, and I forget who else kind of got involved in this. I think Sony was kind of the leader, but many groups kind of signed on, and they produced this file format called Digital Asset Exchange. And the idea is it's supposed to kind of represent a single thing. So if you're a model of a coffee cup, a model of a projector, a model of a whatever, and then you other things bind those things together into what would be called like a scene. So the nice thing about it is it's an open format. So it's an agreed upon open format. It's not proprietary. Nobody owns it. So I've been using SketchUp to do most of my 3D modeling work. So when I was designing the drone, I used SketchUp to sort of like a CAD program, just sort of work things up. Have you used SketchUp before? Okay. So SketchUp files themselves are proprietary, but you can export to a DAE file quite easily. And the reason that that was important was because they wanted to be able to get these models into Google Earth. The old version of Cura, the printing software, there's a lot of background, but bringing people up to speed. The old printer software would open those up and render them, but the new stuff doesn't. So the more standard format for 3D 3D printing is STL. The other one is OBJ, so an object file. And what does STL even stand for? I don't even remember. Do you remember, Earle?
No, actually. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. That was Andy.
Okay, so
sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay, so yeah. Anyway, long story short, generally you need an STL file or an OBJ file to do the 3D printing. That's kind of the standard. So all of the data that we have for all of our models essentially is in DAE, which can be converted. So you can go into MeshLab and you can convert any single file. But it's irritating for the workflow to be able to have to make it in SketchUp, export it in DAE, open it in MeshLab, and change it into an STL. And it's like as you're developing stuff, like that's annoying. So I looked around a little bit and found the SketchUp STL, what do they call them, extensions. So that's pretty cool. It seemed to work pretty flawlessly. I exported some stuff in STL, and that's better in the sense that I think that it's a more standard format. So as usual, sort of a short-term loss in terms of figuring out how to change your workflow results in a bigger gain. So now we're able to export things that I think are more useful in general. So that was cool. I didn't really make anything with it. I've been at home working on some mounts for monitors and TVs and stuff like that. I was going to bring, so we had designed a mount that can use that can take these projectors and put them on like a tripod. Okay. So I'm hoping to get one of those out. My room is not super, I haven't quite figured out where we're going to stick this stuff. So right now we're on one of our walls. When I get a nice 3D model of the room, I'll share it with you, and then you can see what it looks like.
Oh, by the way, STL stands for Standard Triangle or Tessellation Language.
Okay, cool.
Because it's a triangle
or tessellation
mesh. Triangle or tessellation. Depends on who you look at.
Okay.
Woo.
All right, so this was exciting. I had ordered this, and I wasn't sure if it actually got ordered, and it arrived so fast that I was really kind of caught off guard. But about 2 days ago, I opened up a package, and in it was the Intel RealSense 435. So this is about the size. I'm in my backpack. Thanks. All right. Lunch. All right. So this is the unit itself. Can you still see our camera, Earle, or not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of. We're probably pretty small.
You can see me, but not
me. Okay. So this is the unit.
Yeah. That is crazy.
It's actually really nicely built and designed. I'll try to scoot back in the frame. Yeah. So you can see me even a little bit. It's got like this nice aluminum casing, so it's really nicely built. It's got a USB. It's got the new spec USB connector. I can't remember what that's called.
The USB-C.
C, yeah, USB-C. So that's interesting. I only have the one cord that came with it, so I'm gonna have to increase my stock of USB-C wires because that one's really short. I did order a new, like, longer, just general USB extension, but I think it's only USB 2, so we'll have to figure that out. Anyway, so what it is it's a depth camera. So there are a couple of sort of common technologies. The Microsoft Kinect is obviously the one we've worked with the most. We have worked with a Leap Motion controller. Have you seen those?
No, I'm familiar with the Kinect though.
Okay. So what was the thing? The Leap Motion is sort of about this size. It's smaller. It sits on a desktop, and the idea is it mostly captures hand movement. So you kind of just set it out in front, whereas the Kinect is like a room. Mm-hmm. And this is, I think, is also a little bit more oriented around room-sized things. Okay, so what's the application of this? One is to do augmented reality projections. So the AR Sandbox used a Kinect, an old first generation Kinect, to do the sensing. I think that this could potentially be a replacement for that. I don't think anybody's probably going to be redesigning that AR Sandbox anytime super soon, although I could be surprised. I think they've got kind of a nice standardized hardware set that works, and why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of a thing. But I think for a lot of the stuff that we're doing, where we're trying to project onto a 3D printed map, we can go around the AR Sandbox setup and just work on something new. So that's cool. I should put together a live demo, but it's probably not worth it. I think we can use it for the maps for the blind project. So using it to maybe sense finger position, so interaction with the physical map we can capture with this, so we don't need a leap motion, and maybe we can bypass some of the problems we've been having with just using camera-based stuff. Although that stuff works great, and I'm hoping to get it set up. So before we were using these laser-based. You'd shine a laser pointer, and then it would detect the position of that, and that works pretty well. But it would be nice to not have to need an extra device, even if it is just a laser pointer. Okay, and then the last bit I think is the coolest one. So I think that we've got some really great potential to build 3D models of indoor spaces with this. So essentially, this thing has been designed with the robotics community in mind, and that means that it is super ready right out of the box to work with the robot operating system. So that's been something that we've been fiddling around with for a while. I think me and Earle and Matt Mendez have all spent some time with that, but it's something that we really need to get back into, because this sensor in particular is really set up to use that system. So ROS is just a kind of a composite software package designed to basically interact with robots, but we use it. There's a lot of things in it that we care about, like computer vision and building real-time 3D models. In fact, when you go to record the sensor with this thing, with the viewer that you can just download on GitHub, what it saves, and I was totally expecting it to just save like an AVI or an MP4 or something like that. I thought it was just recording like screen, but it was actually recording the sensor, and they were bag files. So a bag file is the kind of a storage format used in ROS to store sensor data. We should be able to, I mean, this could be as easy as wheeling this thing around with a computer attached to it, recording the bag files, and then typing it into ROS to get some results. And there's some pretty active threads going on. I think this technology is pretty new. So there's not a ton of stuff online yet, but the stuff that is online is super current. So there's people working on doing this from 2 weeks ago. So I think we can kind of keep an eye on that and see how it goes over the semester. But okay, the other thing that was an issue that is just more of a documenting the problem kind of a thing was that the firmware needed to be updated. So the firmware that it shipped with was old, and by old I don't know what that is, but let's say 6 months. And they were already on to a new minor version, and so it wouldn't work. The camera would work, but not the 3D part. So when I plugged it into my laptop, when I plugged it into my work computer, you could get the camera information, but you couldn't get anything else. And worse yet, you couldn't update the firmware. So the firmware updater itself would error out. And so I was going to try to doing it via a Linux install. But before I did that, I'm glad that I thought to do this. I just plugged it into my one at home, and that the USB 3 worked fine. So it seems to be some kind of a weird interaction with the USB 3 detection. But yeah, thankfully it just worked right out of the bat, and everything went smoothly after that. Okay. In kind of random research news, I got contacted 2 days ago by a reporter from the Midweek News back in DeKalb. about this Trees of DeKalb project that I was working on. Basically what this is was supposed to be an interactive web map to support community exploration and engagement with their local trees. So it came out of this, back in Illinois, there's this DeKalb County Community Gardens project where they're trying to get people to do more urban gardening. Gotcha. The guy that's behind that project put me in touch with this guy, Michael Kirk, who had been spending the last couple of decades kind of documenting a lot of the really big old trees in DeKalb. And so he had all of these paper notes. He's not a technical guy at all, but he had notes, he had some photographs, and he wondered if we could get that, share that. I think he had originally intended to write a book, but Dan Kenny put us in touch, and so we started going around and revisiting a lot of the trees that are in the area. So this is what the page looks like. It looks awful at this aspect ratio. To figure that out. This is an exceptionally wide aspect ratio, so the map is off to the left here. I'll have to look at that. Okay, so the gist though is that we've got these different neighborhoods, and if you click on one of these neighborhoods, you can get a couple of different options. I'm going to remove the Google Earth option, Earle, I think. I don't think anybody. So this is a Google My Maps. Maybe I'll change the base map to something a little bit more sedate, but the idea is that this is totally mobile accessible. So you can pull this up on your phone, you're going to get your GPS location on it. So you can walk around, you can interact, and it needs a little bit of work, but these dark circles here are essentially these particular trees that are that Michael Kirk had identified. And so it's got some information about what the tree is and as much as we know about it and some basic measurements. What we'd like to do is to basically let people treat their neighborhoods as like arboretums and walk around and sort of learn about what's there. People walk by these trees all the time. Some of this came out of the, there was a DeKalb tree survey that was done, and Earle's project is actually an extension of that. So years ago, the city of DeKalb had commissioned a study where they sent somebody along and ID'd all of the trees. So we had this record of what the trees were. The survey was old, so it needed to be updated. The positions needed to be corrected. And so one of my previous graduate students did that. And so kind of manually went around and re-identified trees and remeasured everything. And he was also looking at using LiDAR to automate some of that stuff. But to establish a good ground truth, he physically went around to every tree and looked at it. So we've got this really great data set. So underneath of this is a look at sort of what trees are here. All of these different dots are all of the trees in this neighborhood. So you can actually identify every single tree in your neighborhood. But these darker ones are ones that are particularly notable because they're either unusual. You can imagine you're walking through this neighborhood and it's a bunch of, silver maples, or even the sugar maples are pretty common. What else in Norway?
Sugar maples, Norway spruce, elms. There's don't we have some silver maples too, I think?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like people aren't too creative about which trees they plant. So, but some people are. So, there are a few notable trees that are unusual for the town or unusual for the neighborhood, or unusual in terms of their size or age. So, like I think on many of these, like we marked like the tallest or the largest sugar maple in each block. So you can say, this is the biggest sugar maple we have. Anyway, so this reporter, we'll go back. This reporter is interested in getting some press out for this, which we've been wanting to do for years. So it was really exciting to get contacted by her. The project just kind of moved in fits and starts. We made a pretty good effort about 2 years ago, and then it's been mostly sitting idle since then. There's another block of trees that Mike and I looked at that's over here by the university area. So I've got a whole other section I need to add by tomorrow. And then there are other sections, right? So there are other. Fortunately, my notes are pretty good. The last time I did this, I was pleasantly surprised at the state of those notes. So I should be okay. But the other two blocks. So we've got sort of this northwest and southeast sections ID'd, and then we're going to do the other two. I would really like to update. I think that the main screen is probably okay. It's got a little bit of text. It's got a pretty simple map interface. I'm going to make it so that you just click on the polygon and then the map comes up, so there's no intermediary text. So we'll kind of streamline that. I still think that there's a lot of opportunity for what the final map looks like, and so I think we could start maybe rethinking whether we want to use something like Arc Online to do the map distribution. I've been sort of shying away from that to keep it kind of open source, but we could talk about it. In other news, Andrea Saavedra, who was an undergraduate that worked on me with an RU in Mexico. Hang on. I think that's the reporter. I'll call her back. Anyway, Andrea is presenting at a symposium today. So the RU work, so that was cool. And Melissa Lancheski and Ken are going to be mapping out sort of a group paper, so that was exciting. Some of the really early work that we did on the AR Sandbox from like 4 years ago may actually be getting into manuscript form. So that came across my desk yesterday, and that was exciting. I thought that project was maybe dead. We got this BenQ 4K monitor. We got to figure out where to put it and what to do with it. It does have a bit of a longer throw than I was expecting, but so I think a ceiling mount is going to be tough on this one. Our other one you could mount on the ceiling, and it would have a sort of a good resolution to project onto that within a span of, I don't know, 30 inches or something, Earle. And then I met with Daniel Cross, who's a drone operator here in the college, and I may be able to join him for some flights on Tuesday, so it was nice to make contact with him. The goals for last week, I think 0 of these were met. It's been kind of a crazy week, so I'm going to have to do all of those again. I also need to create some, I really need to get on those lab reports so that they're more usable. I really want to farm that out so that somebody from the lab meeting takes responsibility for writing those up, but that can't happen until I get sort of a template in place. So I got to do that before it gets too late. I need to carve out some lab space in the office. This is an okay thing, but ideally there would be sort of workstations and tables and places for people to actually do some work. I need to do my Part 107. Daniel Cross said I can do it at the local VT airport, which is just like 4 miles away. So that's cool. And I've been talking to people about what kind of drone flights have been done on campus. And it turns out that I think that there have been a few flights, but I don't know that there have been a lot of imagery taken. So Daniel and John McGee had done some flights down by the stadium. So I think that there's a good set of images for the stadium, but I don't think that there's anything else. So I think that there's a good opportunity there. So I want to coordinate so that maybe, you know, I don't particularly want to fly it all myself, and I don't really want to do it with a quadcopter, but Daniel's got a fixed wing that we might be able to fly. Other people are doing flights, and we might be able to collect imagery that they're just generating via whatever it is else that they're doing. But getting a model of campus made would be pretty sweet. Okay, that's all I got.
All right. Okay, let me get mine up there. Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
Can you adjust the camera so it's just a little bit that way? It might be too far because I don't know if you're going to be in the frame yet. A little bit more that way. Sorry, I'm like, that's good. We'll get it mounted like up there, but I got to get a long cord to.
What if they have any like wireless?
What's that?
So what if they have any like wireless receivers for that kind of stuff?
That's a good question. Yeah, that'd be cool. They must, right?
I hope so. Maybe.
All right, hold on. Let's see. And all right, you see it?
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't know. I thought mine was going to be a little short today, but I don't know. I wound up at 12 slides anyhow. So start off. So this video is my lab report for September 21st, 2018. Wow, 19. Wow, 2018. Last lab report of spring. Yeah, summer. Last lab report of summer. Okay. Keywords computer. Last week I had some really simple goals to work on my proposal and get a copy to you, and some server upgrades. So first things, the proposal. I did drop a 10-page clean moderately clean version for you, and that's 10 pages without tables, charts, images, and references. I think I got like 3 pages of references. I've got a bunch of advice about sizing and placement of the tables and charts. But for the images, I at least want to have an image of the survey area, a clean survey area, a couple images of the individual sections with the tree points located on them. For tables, I already have flight log tables that I'd like to put in there, and my RMSE comparisons.
Okay.
Okay.
You said all of those are the RMS are in there.
Well, I haven't stuck it in there yet. You've seen that one. I can put separate files. I'm just trying to figure out. I have places notated in there where I'd like to put them, and I just want to see if you feel that's the right place, or if I should stick them at the end as appendices or indices and things like that. So when you get a chance to take a look at that.
Yeah, stick them in there wherever you go, and we can talk about if it's not right, then that's fine. But yeah, it's just a proposal, so you've got a lot of wiggle room. So any place reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can make those corrections and just get all of the figures and all of the stuff should be in there.
All right, that doesn't take long. If I have enough time after we get done before class, I'll just go ahead and fill it right in there.
That makes doing it a lot easier.
Okay, not a problem. So that's what's up with that. So I was kind of happy I got that done.
Yeah.
Okay, so then watershed puzzle completed. I was able to complete the entire watershed puzzle for Lily. It is amazing, I think. Lily actually took it to a meeting of stakeholders in her department and the other one of the other conservation areas in DeKalb, and they're already asking if they can have copies and if we can make more of those types of things for her.
That's awesome.
So I told her to run that by Dr. Shagnut. Well, they asked how much it would cost for us to make those things for them. So I told her to run that by Dr. Shagnut because that's a departmental decision. If
it would cost,
we can actually generate money out of the lab. What was that?
It would cost at least as much as we need for a new print bed.
Well, I actually figured out that I can replace the micro layer on it, and that only costs $20.
Oh, good. Okay.
You can actually take that layer off and replace it. $20 on eBay or on Amazon.
Okay. Cool.
So,
so the files for this, do you have those up on? So I know I've seen a lot of file traffic go by on the Dropbox.
Yeah, we're going to clean that up now. We have a working now that we have a working copy. We're going to clean that up and only leave in the ones that function.
Okay.
So
if one of the things you can do so are those all stored in like PNG format right now?
Yep, they're all in PNGs.
So in Cura, you can export a PNG as an STL.
Oh.
Yeah. So do that when you get the PNGs to a point where you want it. When you bring them in and you answer all the questions about how high it should be and how big it should be, save that as an STL, and then I'll try to print them here, and we'll see how that goes. Because ideally, we could just put these up there and distribute them, right?
Yep.
Cool. Well, this is awesome.
Yep.
Nice work, Earle.
Yeah, so we took them down and showed them to Dr. Shagnon, and I ran your idea of maybe doing a 3D printed US or something for STEMFest, and at first he wasn't quite getting it, and then we're like, well, no, it'll actually be like a topographic representation puzzle piece, and then he was like floored. He's like, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like,
that would
you
be
think you can get that done in time? Like, if we can get one out in the morning and one when we leave at night, we should be able to get them printed by the time we hit STEM.
Yeah,
STEM
you
Fest,
can
which is
start with
a little
Illinois,
over a month.
work your way outward, you know, like.
Yeah. So that was a big a hit with him. So I think he's really going to be pleased, and I think that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now it's a matter of just trying to figure out sizing and that type of fun thing. And projections. Since this is, I was having a real debate about this. What type of projection should we use for our national scale? You know how I feel about Mercator, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
Mercator, do you hate it or do you like it?
I don't like the Mercator projection because it gives that elongated northern border. Just it irks me.
All right.
So, but something like this, especially if we wanted to try to get a representative scale of Alaska, Mercator makes Alaska look so massive.
Yeah.
So,
I think probably for a puzzle, Mercator is probably not a good idea. Yeah, what are you thinking? Like Albers?
That's kind of where I was leaning towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fine. You're gonna have to. I mean, Alaska's gonna need its own projection anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, yeah. There's no great option. I think Albers is probably fine.
That was my top pick right now, and I was discussing that with Lily. So I'm like, yeah, I think that's where I was going to go, and we'll have to do a sub-projection for Alaska. It'll have to get its own. But I'm not worried about getting Alaska done for this one because, one, that's going to be a multi-piece puzzle no matter how we do it. So I'll have to glue some pieces together to make Alaska together.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about doing the lower 48 right now.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
So, yeah, I'm just really pleased with the puzzle piece. It came out very well.
Good.
The pieces interlock.
That's cool.
You know, not it's gone. It's beautiful.
So that's a foot ruler you got there for scale?
Yep.
Cool. That might actually be pretty close to actual size.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
I like it. It worked out.
Yeah.
Actually, better than I thought it was going to work out.
That's good. It's good. We could have made this your thesis. Just kidding. Just kidding.
We're not changing it again. We're going to do like a little write-up for one of the educational journals, maybe.
I think that's a really good idea. So putting this out there for like how they're made for something like Journal of Geography would be good. If we want to do that, I'm totally on board. If I don't know, I'll leave it up to you.
I would not mind that if I can find some time in our busy schedule.
Right.
Maybe a Christmas project or something like that. I don't know.
Well.
So, all right. Well, that turned out. That's what's up with that guy. And then you were mentioning this earlier for the trees project. I did talk to Katrina yesterday. Talked to her for about 15 minutes. I mostly talked about my thesis project and where I've gone with it. I was trying to refer her to you or Mike about some of the long-standing part of the project.
Yeah.
Because I did not want her to feel that was my work. So I wanted her to make sure that, I'm just building upon the work that was done by you, by Mike, by Dustin. So she is, if that was her trying to call you, that probably was.
It probably
because
was.
she wants to have this in press today. She's trying, her deadline for this was Monday, so she was trying to get this going rather quickly. She does want some images for the article.
Yeah.
I was thinking of taking one of the trees that are highlighted in the big tree project and pulling out one of the point cloud versions of it, and maybe giving her a one of those types of images from my side. I thought if you had a matching tree image to go along with one of those, that might be a really cool representation of it. So it also brought up the topic of if I can get some good ground level imagery, we could probably find a way to drop in the whole 3D model of the tree area. I basically got them all imaged. So that might be something for future reference.
Yeah, I'll give that some thought. I think at the moment my goal is just to get sort of the website portion out, so that people can actually go on these like walks. I don't know how much digital, point cloud renderings is going to look. I love your picture. I don't know how it's going to look in a newspaper. It might.
Right.
I don't know. It looks really. It's obviously super cool looking for us. I feel like, if a 70-year-old resident of DeKalb opens the newspaper, they're not going to know what that.
What is this? Okay. What is this? All right.
I tried to show my grandmother an orthophoto of the farm that she worked when they had for a number of years, and I took my drone and I flew it. And she's like, "Oh, what is this?" That's an aerial. So we may need to limit our tech approach. Anyway, I'll talk to her and see what she wants to do. I don't really care too much, but I know that Mike is really eager to get people out and looking at trees. And I agree with him. I think that's the goal of the project is get people out. At least this part of the project that Mike and I worked on is to get people out looking at the trees in their neighborhood. That would be nice.
Yeah, and I guess Mike must have given me a call yesterday when I was in class because I did not see it until this morning. So he called saying he had been contacted by a reporter and he was trying to get a hold of either myself or you to find out exactly what we were talking about. So maybe coordinate. So
yeah, I'm a little, I'm glad that this thing is getting press. It's kind of having to deal with the reporter asking on a Thursday if we can have something for her by Monday is a little irritating. But that's just the way it goes. And if we want to get the article out, then we've got to do that. But I wish we had another week. Anyway, if you can maybe find time, I'm sure she wants to get a photograph. There's a photo that Karen took of me and Sue and Mike, and I have a couple pictures of me and Mike. But if she wants something a little more current and wants to take pictures, if you and Mike can maybe get a photo together before Monday, I think that would be nice.
Okay. I don't know. I think a nice picture of you and Mike together might be good because you guys did most of the grunt work on that portion of the project. I'm just the joyrider that came along for the fun.
Well, I hope that you're interested in maybe pursuing the project a little bit moving forward.
Yeah.
It does dovetail nicely with your thesis work. So, for instance, on the website right now, it's got people saying if you've got a tree that you want to add to the site, email me. I could have them email you. I can have them email me, and it's fine because I can just relay it back. But it's up to you.
All right. Well, we can build on that in a second. Right. I gotta keep here. Next is server. So I was doing some more tinkering around with the server. I went ahead and created some virtual Windows 10 environments inside the server so I could maybe do some fun things with the graphics card. But apparently the virtual environments within the server itself cannot access the GPU unless you buy the upgraded package for the server from Windows. So there is a special connection package you have to buy, and they license it. So I am not all that big on giving them any more money for doing that. so I'll just be switching back to doing some dual boot settings on it, like we had done before, where I do have it still. I still have the operating system on a jump drive in there, so I can always go back to doing that. And this is how I feel about the server right now. It'll be all over soon. So that's just that, and this will actually make sense in a minute why I was doing that, because I was also attempting to install a new USB 3 into the server, because it does not have any USB 3s. It's only USB 2. So I ordered a card, and I, of course, naturally ordered a PCIe card, but I opened it up and realized that there's only straight PCI slots in the server bay. There are no PCIe full-size ports. So that was the first thing. And then, not that it mattered, but the card came with a 4-pin Molex to SATA power supply. I thought when I looked at the specs it was supposed to have an 8-pin to SATA, and it doesn't. So I'm just going to take that card and put it in my tower at home. And I'm going to order a new one for the server, so I can actually do some USB 3 connections in that. And the big reason, well, also coming up, I went ahead and got myself a new laptop finally.
Hey, congratulations.
Yay!
Out of room
my other one. Huh?
Out of room already.
Yes. So the new laptop is a Dell G7 15758 model. It's got an 8th gen i7 in it, so I'm kind of stepping up in the world. 6-core, 8 gigs of RAM, which I'm already pricing out to upgrade as soon as I can.
Yeah.
But it only came with a 256 SSD, which you know our data issues was not a lot of space at all. But it did come with an integrated 1060 6-gig graphics card, so I was kind of happy about that. I went ahead and was transferring. I got one of those file mover things to transfer from my old laptop to the new laptop, and I thought I had only set it to transfer my programs and settings. And apparently there was more that got transferred, because it filled up the entire hard drive just doing that. So I've got to go in there and now start finding things to delete so I can just streamline it and only run things that need to be on that computer. That'll be my workhorse computer, and my old laptop will just still be my plod and trod one. So yeah, I was really upset because I went to put something on it yesterday, and it's like, sorry, not enough space. Like, are you kidding me? I've had this thing for less than a week, and it's already filled up. So that kind of irked me. And this is the reason why it irked me, because I went ahead and got myself an Oculus Rift.
No way.
Yeah, no way. Yeah. I was lucky. My wife and I went to a buddy of mine's house the other day, and he had a Rift, and she actually got to play on it. And she'd heard me talking about one of these for a while, saying I could really use it to do some really cool things with. And she's like, oh, that's actually kind of fun. So as long as she's allowed to play on it, and I have to let the kids kind of play on it too, yeah. I was allowed to get one.
Excellent.
So it does. Sorry, what was that?
Excellent. That's great.
Yes. So that is the reason why I needed to get the Windows 10 operating on the server, because it will only run in the Windows 10 environment. You do have to have 3 USB 3 ports to plug it in. There's one port for each one of the sensors and one port for the headpiece.
3.
So I have to put.
That's weird.
Yep, I have to put the USB ports here so I can get it to run in the office. It does run on the new laptop. Well, it's supposed to. I haven't actually plugged it into it yet because I just finished transferring my files onto my laptop yesterday, so I've not actually tested it out on that yet. But it will run on my home tower because I went ahead and upgraded some stuff in that, so that works fine now. And the really cool thing is I got CloudCompare working in it.
I was going to ask about that. That's exciting.
That was the first thing I did was I got CloudCompare working. it is really flipping cool. The only thing is, when I work on my home tower, it's only got a 1050 Ti in it.
Yeah.
I am getting noticeable flicker, and I'm not sure if it's just because these files are so massive compared to the normal environments they're run in. So I've got some work to do on that, but it is really, really cool.
Cool. What is this screen grab that you did, or is this trying to figure out what that is?
No, this is that's the garage. Is that what the parking garage? I think that's the parking garage.
From the colored LiDAR?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, from the colored LiDAR.
Cool. Oh yeah.
Is that?
I can see that. I can see the top of the student center there in the background. Yeah, that's awesome, man. How much was the Oculus? Because I actually got that on my board, ready to buy one this week. But then I saw the Sony Vive, and I didn't know. I wanted to look up and see what the guy from Davis is doing about like that immersive LiDAR stuff.
Yes.
I can't remember what he was using. Was he using an Oculus?
He was using the Oculus.
Okay, sweet. So the Oculus it is. So how much was it?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to remember actually. I think it was like $399.
Oh, is that all?
Let me check.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it? Oh.
Yeah.
One of those
$399.
today then. That's.
And
I thought it was in like the $800 range.
Yeah. My brother brought it.
No.
Like
No, their price point has come way, way down.
All right, sweet.
So we got the Oculus Touch package, which comes with the goggles, the two sensor towers, and the two little hand doodad thingies.
Okay.
I have not gotten the hand controllers working in it yet, and it does not have the little mousey type button. So that's something to be tested. But I've only been working on this for like the last 3 days now, so it is really cool. I have actually gone in there and stood in at ground level and looked around. It's pretty cool.
So the one that I really want to try is like immersive in a room, based on point cloud. I wonder how that's gonna. We'll see how close we can get by the end of the semester. Because if we use the RealSense to generate the room model, and we use Oculus and the CloudCompare to look around, I think that'll be a pretty good immersive experience. I think the drone stuff, I'm sure that the drone stuff is going to work, right? Like we know that we can build a very nice, dense drone point cloud from outside. So that is not going to be a problem. But if we can, take a building, right? Like take Davis Hall or take Major Williams or whatever, build our point cloud so that it's emerged interior, exterior, and then split the floors, right? Like that takes all of like a minute in CloudCompare. Split the point cloud by the floors, and then you can immerse yourself, and then you can like peek in the building. That I think is going to be something new and cool.
I think it really will. I really haven't spent as much time in it as I'd like to yet. I had other things going on.
Yeah.
So
you did a lot this week.
I didn't think I had until I started putting this all together.
Yeah, that's why these things are good. You really get a chance to kind of look back and see what you did. Okay.
Made me feel like I'd accomplished a lot more than I thought. So I tested a couple different things here. I did test the LiDAR, the merged LiDAR section that we have here, the overlay LiDAR.
Uh-huh.
And I also went into one of the small drone sections.
Okay.
The point cloud resolution for the drone sections really helps. So I'm actually running another section of point cloud at the higher levels you were talking about to generate a more full point cloud model.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll have that done by today, and I can actually drop one of those in to see how it looks. So I think you'll just get much more depth and feeling out of it.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next point. Since I was going to try and generate a new section, I wanted to regenerate one of the small sections. I didn't want to do a whole area. I just want to do individual flights. I went into Dropbox, and all the files in my individual mission folder were gone.
Oh.
So, yes, I am not quite sure how this happened. I think when I was trying to make space on my laptop and I went to sync them from the laptop, somehow I must have clicked the button and it propagated all the way up the chain. Good thing was Google Dropbox has a 30-day buffer window.
Yeah.
So I was able to go in and recover a bunch of other files. I'm still missing some, but those were only the first passes of the individual sections. I still have all my merged sections, which is really good. So if worst comes worse, I can always reprocess those little sections, the individual tiles again. So it was one of those heart-dropping moments. I opened that up and everything was gone, and the only thing in there were like the two newest ones that I did. So I had one of those moments of absolute panic. Then I started digging around and went through the help desk in Dropbox. So for FYI, we can only restore 30 days of deleted files unless you have the business account. Then you get 120 days of recovery.
Might be nice.
So I'm not sure when this happened.
Yeah, this is one of the problems with the cloud sharing. Like, it's not always clear when you get rid of a file whether it's getting rid of it just locally or not. And like, you know, I think the way Dropbox handles it is different than the way OneDrive handles it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that super sucks. If there's anything I can look around, I've got some things that maybe have not been synced up that I still have. What would I be looking for on my local?
It's just the individual missions. So it's just that very first raw individual level missions, like Knowles 1, Knowles 2. I've got all the ones where I started compiling them because we moved them to that a separate merged file, which was great. I'm glad I did that because I remember I didn't have everything syncing constantly. I took those individual files off of my laptop. So like I said, I have my second stage stuff, so I'm still good on that. But it was
so Knowles,
just one of those
Knowles
things like,
1,
are you
Knowles
kidding
2,
me?
hold on. So Knowles 1, Knowles 2.
It would be all of the individual sections, you know, all the individual flight paths for the leaf on condition.
Mine. I'm looking at the website right now. I think I see them on mine.
I hit recover all files last night, so I'm not quite sure of exactly what came back yet because I just let that. I set it to recover all of Knowles 1, Knowles 2 are the only thing in the box right now for the mission individuals, leaf on.
Okay.
The other ones are all the leaf off. Those are all leaf off conditions.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So, yeah, but everything that was lost can be recovered because all of my images are still there. All the raw files are still there.
Okay.
And I have all that stuff backed up 4 different places.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
So it was just one of those. I had absolute panic last night, and I was like, "Oh!"
Three copies, or it doesn't exist.
Yep. Yep. So that was my panic last night, and so just yeah.
Okay. We've got Colloquium coming up here pretty soon. How close? Oh, good.
Yep, that's it for me.
Okay.
That is it for me. Proposal that went well. Server upgrades not so well. Watershed puzzle for last week's goal that was done. This week, revise and resubmit my proposal. Get the server dual boot up and running again, and add those USB 3 points so we can do some Oculus, woohoo, and set up the states printing.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at, and that's about it.
All right. Awesome.
All right, let's.
Did you have anything? So in the, having you just kind of come in and sit in, it's a good way to kind of see some of what we're up to and what we do. You're always welcome to present whenever you want. Oftentimes, in the past, we had everybody present every week. I think we probably don't need to do that, especially for people that are, so like Earle is my student, you know, he's going to be presenting every week. But Lily, who I'm not even on her committee, but we've sort of collaborated on a couple of things, you know, she doesn't necessarily need to present every week. But everybody's always welcome to present every week. And I found that it's a really nice way to just kind of, again, brief people on what you're up to. It's a good way to kind of reflect on the stuff. It's good to kind of encourage you to make and meet some research goals. So you're
I myself am very glad to start since we started this. You know, like I said, I thought I'd really not done anything this week, and actually putting it down and seeing, it's like, wow, I actually did accomplish quite a bit this week. I really, at first it was kind of rough when we first started this. I was like, yeah. But I'm really glad we are doing this now.
Yeah, and it helps me too. Like I feel like it encourages me to talk about stuff and to share stuff, and a lot of it's sort of you know, maybe it's just a thing in passing that you kind of want to share with the group. But yeah, it's been working out well.
Gotcha. So yeah, maybe I can come up with like some slides or something next time, because I've done a lot of like just research, like compilation stuff like that, and like for the project itself, and then just like reading up on Unity documentation and file formats that it takes, and
sure,
created like a prospectus and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll almost always, I think, host it in here. Last week we had the alleged hurricane. It didn't actually really happen. But I thought it was better not to make people come in on what sounded like it was going to be a rough day. As it turned out, it was not even. I think it was sunny that day.
Yeah.
So, but I think in general we'll host in here.
Okay. Do.
All right. Anything else, Earle?
Nope. I have a little bit of time, so I'll try and drop those images into there and then upload it again. You did say you saw it, right? You're seeing it now?
Yeah. So it's just the same problem on my part. Okay. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
But yeah, do put the tables and the figures in. That'll make it easier to evaluate.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Thanks, Earle.
See ya. Bye-bye.
I'm currently in the works of trying to